I think it's happening because I got to send the link to that other bloke. Eh? G'day guys, how are we? We're going to run this like via streaming on YouTube. It was a little bit difficult to figure out the Zoom, and I hope this works. I don't know, anyone who's watched our stuff for a while can probably figure out that I don't do any of this stuff myself normally, and I'm trying to tonight. Hang on, I'm hearing the audio's not coming through already. Audio's good. Righto, welcome. Tonight we're going to go through Punting Form, essentially the way that I use Punting Form. A basic overlook, but I'm going to give away heaps of stuff that I use that I haven't sort of shared ever, and I hope it can sort of help you if you're using Punting Form, maybe find a new angle to use it, and if you're new to it, get a little bit of an understanding. If you have questions at any time, chuck them into the YouTube chat box, and the boys will monitor that. And if it's a real urgent question, they'll try and let me know on another device, and I'll answer it as we go. But most of those questions we'll get to at the end. So we're going to sort of go through the basics of reviewing a meeting at the start, and then sort of measuring performance, speed maps, track patterns, form analysis and pricing, and then sort of adjusting on the run, a little bit about systems, which is a way to measure sort of opinion in a way. So we'll kick off with the two sort of like golden rules I use for my betting, which is rule number one's never force it. So there's always another race. If it doesn't tick all the boxes versus your price, just let it go. You'll find another one. Particularly when you start diving into this stuff, you'll just start to see more and more potential bets, and you don't want to force it. And then like the big rules, like to not cut corners. Once you sort of get into a mindset of using a proper database and proper numbers, and it's all consistent, it's really important that you don't cut corners. You can't sort of black book a horse and just decide that's what I'm going to back. I've done that, in the past, and I've lost a lot of money doing it. And we map first. We always map before we bet, because it's just crucial, particularly in Victoria. So the way I gamble isn't the way everyone else gambles, and it's relevant to each and every different person. You might have a more systems-based, high turnover punter. I'm sort of more looking for big edges that I think are good bets, and I'm only looking in Victoria. So when we start talking now about reviewing a meeting, so we're looking back at a meeting, we're going to do it tonight in regard to the Moya Stakes. We're essentially looking for three things as a starting point for each and every runner. Was that horse suited, or was it even, or was it not suited? And what was that race? Was that race like on pace suited, or even, fair, or rails and runs suited, etc.? Because as I'll show you now, when you get the data coming through the other way, it helps you a hell of a lot having your own opinion, your own eye, and the notes that you made will populate on your Punting Form screen. So if you look, where was this thing I had before? Right, so I can actually draw, I think. So I'm trying this on the run. But around here, I can put a meeting comment if I've done the review. So this is a new Punting Form account that I haven't used yet. I can put a race comment here, and I'm going to put a runner comment over here, and you can populate that the whole way down everywhere you want, right? So just keep that in mind as we go forward, because then we'll come back to that, so it'll make sense. So if we look at, we're looking at the Moya Stakes tomorrow night, or Friday night. So we get all the information here, blah, 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 blah. The Inferno. So the Inferno race on the 3rd of September at Moonee Valley. So I've got that meeting up already here. Now this is that meeting as a review page, which you get on a Monday morning or a Sunday night. So a Saturday Metro meeting will come through Sunday night, Monday morning, when they've like gone through all the numbers, they've run their algorithms and created their benchmarks and class benchmarks and all average benchmarks and meeting ranks and all the good stuff for you to dissect. So a couple of things when you're looking at a review page that I'll focus on are, this here is gold. So see how that's called positions and wides. So you see how the the positions and wides for this meeting at the 800 meter mark. Castilian was leading. It was in position 1 in lane 1. Desert Icon was third in run in lane 3. Charlemagne was leading in lane 1. Mr. Brightside was outside leader, second in run in lane 3. Rothfire was third in lane 3, lane 4. Troach was second in lane 1. So we can see just from that, like a clear and evident pattern to how that race was run. So if we wanted to, which we should be doing, we can open up which race was it? The McEwen Stakes. And we can break this down again. So this is the race that the Inferno's coming out of, Coolangatta's coming out of, Zoostyle's coming out of, Rothfire's coming out of. They're all in this race on Friday night. So it's a really interesting, it's the key form reference for this race. So if we go to the standard view on your punting form up the top here, right? So where my mouse is, I go to standard view. I'm going to get their flux and their starting price over here on the right-hand side of your screen, which is like really good information. So Coolangatta started a really short price favorite here, 250. Was slightly soft, but still started really short and didn't deliver. But that SP is a valuable thing here, right? Same with in the Congo away game. Well, she put on those silks and she's off to start. But we can look at it like that. That's really good information there. But you get that when you look at the race anyway on the preview sort of view for a race. Yeah. Here is their positions in run in this race. Here is their 200 meter split rank in a race. So the Inferno to me stands out because it was clearly an on-pace suited race, right? The first 3 home were the first 3 out. You can see that in the position and wides data. You can cut this data up to whatever you want. I'm just going to talk about the stuff that I like using. But you've got sectional times. You've got sectional time rank in a race. So that's the last 600 versus this is the 6 to the 4, 4 to the 2. That's the last 4. You've got margin from leader, class benchmark versus leader. So you want to see a horse sort of hoon through the line, like Rothfire did. The Inferno's hoon through the line. So a negative number is a good number when you're talking punting form language. The all average, Rothfire's gone really well. The Inferno's hooned home. And this is the sectional time rank. So people will say, oh, this horse run the fastest last 200 of the day or last 400 of the day. This is where they're getting that from. So the Inferno's run the fastest last 800 and 600 of the meeting. He's run the second fastest last 400 of the meeting and the third fastest last 200 of the meeting. Now, I focus on the positions and wides because I like this stuff on the left-hand side. So I can see that the Inferno wasn't suited. My eye told me that anyway, but you want to back it up with the data. So this is a pretty simple example, but I'm trying to keep it simple for us all. So it wasn't suited. The Inferno was like a good close in this race. So we're going to change screens, and bear with me if I stuff this up. This is my favorite tool in punting form, and it's this arrow up the top here. Open your worksheet. So if I open that up, I'm going to make sure I'm sharing that worksheet, which I think I will be. Over here, I'm going to say not suited, even, miss kick, suited, almost blessed, whatever you want. Like, you use your own language, but keep your language consistent for your own, like, so like the same words all the time. It's easy to sort of measure. Suited, plain, just poor. Off its head. This horse, like, couldn't even go. And gone. And then down here, I'm going to say on pace suited. I'll save that. Yeah, I'm going to kill that once I've saved it. Always hit it twice. I'm going to share a different screen. Go back to this screen here. Now, if I go back to the Inferno, am I still sharing the right screen, boys? I hope I am. I'll go back to the Inferno. There's still nothing there, right? Refresh it. Now, see these envelopes have popped up on your screen. So now I've got my opinion on this race, which I can overlay versus all the numbers, is here for this race. And as you use Punting Form each and every day, which you will if you got it, you got these comments everywhere. So for the Middies McEwen, when I'm doing the form, and I can just go, oh yeah, this was on pace suited. That's right. The Inferno was 7th in run in a 7th horse field, so it was last. So in run, I'll get out that little pen again. So it was in run here. It was 7th, and over here I've got my little note saying what the race was. So I can give that horse a positive sort of push when I price it looking at the Moya. I've got a comment over here on the run that I made, wasn't suited. Could have probably said, and if you watch it again, you can add to your notes. So you could say, wasn't suited, hooned home. Now that note stays there all the time. It's always with this horse. That's the steward's report, so it's slowly away. There's a lot of stuff here. I try and keep it pretty simple, but essentially that's what we're trying to do with those worksheets. And then we're going to get back to those worksheets when we preview a race. But we'll go back now and just finish off sort of measuring performance. So when we're looking at it at the meeting as a whole, and we see that this was like a really on-pace suited meeting with the wide starter that I spoke about. You go to say, I got Flemington up from the week after. You look at the wide starter for the Flemington meeting. So this is the I'm Thunderstruck Maccabi Diva Stakes Day. You can see like some 11th in run, 16th in run, 8th, 12th. So just like glancing that, I could glance this data at Doomben over a few weeks and I could have like a half an opinion on how that race day was run. So this is a much more even meeting, and there's probably less edge. What else should we talk about? Yeah, so I think we'll just run through this if you want to cut this down. So you can do the time rank for a meeting. So this is the Flemington meeting we're looking at now. Pinstriped, who heads to Sandown on Sunday, was yeah, George Hooned is a standard comment for me. My comments aren't. You've got to be your own comments, George. So you know what you meant when you said it, my man. Pinstriped heads to Sandown on Sunday, and he's clocked the fastest last 6, 4, and 2 of the day at that meeting. If you were reviewing, say, that meeting, and you go, "Well, that's a pretty nice performance by Pinstriped," you can click on him, and it'll take you to Pinstriped. Now we're going to look at Pinstriped in a little bit of detail, just to talk about the all-average benchmark versus leader. And this is how I interpret it. It's probably not 100% how you should, but it's how I do it, and it works for me. So you can see, as I said at the start, a negative, so minus 5.6 is 5.6 lengths above the all-average, faster than. A positive number is a bad thing, a slow thing. So Pinstripes run an 11.4 faster above the all-average benchmark first up at Flemington. That's a new PB for the horse, first up this prep. So last prep over 1,200 meters fresh, he went a little bit slower. So he went 1.5 below the benchmark to the 600 at Flemington, and he went 3.2 slow to the 600 at Moonee Valley over 1,200 meters. So he went a little bit quicker at Flemington, so he's probably entitled to run a little bit better. But he only came home with a 7.1, which is still pretty good. But at Flemington, two weekends ago, he's come home in almost 13 lengths above the all average. It's just like that's as good as they get. It's a big close. When you break it down, the all average and the all average here, right? So now I'm going to the left-hand side of the screen. I'm looking at the splits, the 6 to the 4, the 4 to the 2, the 2 home. The benchmarks are an algorithm to simplify sectional data, which suits me. It's a compass. It just trust it's right, and it'll serve you well. So you can cut it down to its splits. So it's uncommon for a horse to go 12.32, 11.12 and hold that through the 4 and the 200. Most races, the best horses, let alone the slowest ones, they all slow down that last 200 meters. That's where it looks to the eye like they're accelerating, but it's more so they're slowing down, just not as fast as everything else. So what does that number mean? Well, I use the all average in the class. So versus the population of horses, he's come home really, really strongly. And versus the class, so that was in a listed race. That's a good question. So from the 6 to the 4 versus the class, he's better than the class. From the 4 to the 2, he shat upon the class. 4.3 lengths faster. The 2 home, 3 lengths above. So he's hooned home. So we just got a question of like, could he drop right back and regress off that big PB? 100% he could. But what we're trying to do here, I'm going to take you sort of through the journey of how I do the form, is all we're doing at the moment is just judging this performance and making a note on that in our database, because he might find a race where he's not going to be suited again. And if that's the case, I'm not going to bet, even though I really want to back this horse wherever it goes. He could well come off it. I think he'll maintain it or slightly improve it next start, because he was completely blessed to the 600. So he's got 8.5 lengths slower than the class. So it's really slow for this horse to the 600. He's done it comfortably, and he's just come home real hard. So it's a nice little pipe opener. If a horse runs a big, more to that question for me, and this is just my opinion, if a horse runs a fat number first up or a big spike figure, and they did most of that work in the first 600 meters, so they've gone really hard in the 600 and haven't come home nicely, they'll still get a big number. They're the numbers I'm more cautious of next start, and I don't trust as much that it's going to run near that level the next start. I hope that makes sense. And so in regard to, I've got a question about class and all average. I prefer the all average. It's your personal preference and what works for you, right? I prefer the class benchmark, particularly for finding horses going up in grade, because it'll tell you that they're ready to leave that grade and be competitive in the next grade. And I probably prefer the all average for measuring sort of group horses, because they're they're in their own sort of like sphere. So a negative like sort of 10, 11 or better starts to get to like group 3, group 2 level in my brain. Yeah. No more questions about that. Yeah, so Pinstripe heads to you can see it here. So he's nominated, he's accepted to run in a Sandown with Mickey D in a group 3 over 1,500 meters, and he's going to, or he could go to Rose Hill in the Shannon Stakes, group 2 over 1,500 meters. So he's going from a listed level race to a group 3. He's just gone class benchmark for a listed race. So the market will decide if that was good enough or not. I wouldn't know which way they'd go, to be honest there. But he's closed like he wants, like he's going to be good enough for a group 3 or group 2 easily, in my opinion. And he's closed, most importantly, like 1,400 to 1,500 meters is perfect, because he hasn't gone super fast and come home nice and strong to suggest 14 to 16 is perfect. I really like the step up just to 1,500 meters for him on Sunday. So I think that might do us for reviewing a meeting. I think if you are using Punting Form already, or you're thinking about it, as you're watching the races on a Saturday, or if you're keen enough or going good enough, you're watching them sort of through the week, the most valuable tool you have is your workbook for each and every race. And then as they run, you'll notice on that that other workbook we used, the map wasn't done. I will map the race from about the 600 meters, 800 meters, and I'll highlight the first 2 or 3 finishes if it was a gap finish or a bunch finish to help me identify the pattern as the day's unraveling, which we'll get to again when we talk about adjusting on the run. Well, we'll just talk about that now. That's adjusting on the run. So Moonee Valley tomorrow night, we'll be mapping those races as they've been run from about the when they go past the school. And after the first 4 races, it's probably going to be mad on pace tomorrow night. But we'll either confirm that or we'll have another opinion. And if we have another opinion, we'll adjust our prices accordingly. So we might have like turned up the volume on, given a bit more positive, a few more points to a horse that's going to settle on speed tomorrow night, because I think it's going to be on pace on Friday night, because I think it's going to be on pace at the Valley. And then after 4 races, if they've been swooping, well, my prices are wrong. So I need to adjust on the run. And using that worksheet function, that's how I do that. And it's fantastic, because you can also add in, so that the Inferno notes that I made and the race note I made for you guys just then, I would have done that. I have done that when it ran. So all that work is done straight away. Do the ratings tarnish more as the tracks get slower? No, Punting Form adjusts for all the track ratings. That they do it themselves. They don't like listen to what they're reported as. They do it off, and I don't know how they do it, but he's told me about 1,400 times, but I can't understand it. But they adjust to a number of factors to give you a rating that's relevant to all tracks. So that all average and class average is relevant across any track. You just sort of got to decide if that horse wants to run on a good track or a soft track or a heavy track when you're doing the form. But I'm trying to, there's 2 clear parts to what I do. And I think, you should try and do, which is reviewing and then previewing. So yeah, the worksheet is key to reviewing a race. So that's that little pencil button up top right. It'll completely set you right. Like, it's so valuable. And the other thing we can do is, if we add a note here to say like on pace suited all day, you might say rails and run. Like, so when you're getting really into it with the post race mapping that we do, you might say, oh, it's fucking that rails and runs hot, or 1 or 2 off is good, etc. And you can adjust like that. But we'll just say on pace suited. And then when we go back to this again, so yeah, there's no note here above the meeting results for the Valley. But if we refresh this now, because we've adjusted our database, it hasn't worked. If I refresh that. Anyway, that note that I just made there will come up and be above the date. Like, it'll be next to it, just like the other thing is here. And you have that note moving forward. Yeah, we'll get to previewing. We're going to get to previewing track patterns now, which is a question from Jordan. So we're going to start that now. So we're going to preview the Moya Stakes. So the first thing we're going to do is a speed map. So if you're new to speed mapping, maybe, I don't know how to help you. I do a lot of this off gut feel. So the punting form, all these horses I can move to wherever they want. The punting form will settle these horses as a starting point for you where they traditionally settle in run. So Zoustyle, Rothfire, and Miakovic, for example, if you look down here, run style. So I'll highlight this. Run style is a leader. So he likes to lead. And you can see that in his run style here. So that's where they'll start the horses for you in the map. And from there, though, you've got the functionality to adjust that to suit your opinion and information you might get, or change your tactics, Bella Nipotina to go back so you can put it back, whatever you want. So I map off a starting point of what they give me. I look at where they might have settled their last sort of 4 or 5. I might have looked, like say, like the Inferno, I know it's going to settle last, but it might have been a case of, and you'll see this often, where a horse is cold, worse in midfield, first 2 starts, most prep, and then 3rd or 4th start of a prep, all of a sudden it goes forward. So you can see that pattern when you're looking through this, and you can adjust accordingly. So then we've got 4 horses that want to lead. What do we got? Zoustar, Rothfire, Malkovich, and Generation. Then I look for riders, right? So Ma Eustace, Zara on Generation, the inside. He's not going to dig it up. He's not going to dig up. He could end up sitting outside J Car. He's got 50 kilos. She doesn't want to be too far away on Coolangatta. It showed good speed last start. So it'll kick up. Now we'll talk about Malkovich. So who's got it? Look for gear changes. If blinkers go on, more intent. Bjorn Baker and Rachel King. I don't know a lot about either of them versus the locals. I look at its run pattern though, and that sort of makes the decision pretty simple for me. So it's definitely going to roll forward. I think it probably finds the fence. I think Zara will hand up, and so will J Carb potentially. But if you're not confident, I've sort of put it there. There's like it's going to lead 1A. There's maybe not. Look at Rothfire now, same deal. D Lane doesn't like going that fast. Settled third. He might dog it. I'd have him there. And then Zoo Style missed the start last start, I remember, because I was looking at that before. D Oliver hates going fast. This horse has to lead though. So he has to roll forward. Now we've got to look at, so I'm basically mapping when I map pre-race. I'm just trying to figure out what's going to happen in the first 200 meters of a race. Like is D Oliver going to just click up and go, or is he going to try and sneak and hold, etc.? You're just trying to pick what are the habitual habits of these big time riders, particularly in Victoria, which is a big positive to only betting locally. In one jurisdiction. So next to us, Maliva, D Moore, I reckon rides it. He rode it really well in the Bletchingley. Righto. D Moore, P Stokes. This horse does a bit of both, doesn't it? So he's half cast from that barrier. I'll put him sort of there. Bella Nipotina will jump and be outside it. September run will be back. It's just that horse. Bella Nipotina. This is how I'd map, and I'm doing it on the run now. Wants to roll forward, keeps Craig on. They won with a sit though last start. It's not going to lead. I think Craig takes a sit. McAvoy, no. Paul Ailey, J Mac. Oh, that's scary. Likes to be forward. Where's he drawn? He might sit here. I don't know if he'd be 3 wide or snick. He'll sort of decide on what happens. Is that good? So I put him there, but leave him the space to fall back into, so I'm not worried about him. So I said my lever's cast. This is a great thing that Punting Form does. So you can click on the horse, and I can say least favoured. Bella Nipotina, least favoured. I love the map for Malkovich. Extremely Lucky goes back, and so does the Inferno. So I save that map like that, say, and that's done. Well, that actually didn't work. I don't know why it's not working. This isn't my actual punting form, but it does work. Now, so we've done a map. I know what the map is. I'll get on another computer. So I remember what I've done. Now we'll look at the overall meeting. So that's why I was saying I want to map them before I look at anything. Because if I wanted to back, say, Bella Nipotina and it's got a shit map, especially when I was younger, all of a sudden it's fucking something I got into the 1-1, you know what I mean? And then come the jump when it's 4 wide and cast, I'll just sit there blowing up. So you want to map them with no opinion, as little opinion as you can have, just like a truthful map, and then you go to the data. So if we look at this Moonee Valley meeting, this is the homepage for Friday night's meeting. So these are all the races, so you can get your head around it if you're going to the track like I used to. So we've got 3 1,200-meter races to start. We're going to get a great gauge on how the track's racing of 3 1,200-meter races in a group 3 and an open, so they should go pretty quick. So you get a really good guide. Then we've got a mile. Then we've got a 955, 1 staying race only, glorious, and then a sprint and a mile race. So we know what we're dealing with. Big nights racing, 5 group races. Jesus, I didn't really know that. So if this information here, so the Moonee Valley barrier versus historical run store with rail true. So this is sort of saying which barriers are favoured traditionally and factually, and which barriers aren't. Yeah, more times than not, barriers 4 to 7 are the good ones. It doesn't mean like you can't bet. It's a piece of information to take on. So if you find a horse with a traditional settling position or forward, like leader or on pace, so like the Rothfires, the Malkoviches, that's drawn barriers 4 to 7, well, they go at 12.8% strike rate, and they're just profitable. If you find a horse like Zoo Style from barrier 9, right? So Zoo Style's come from barrier 9 and it's a leader. This data here is saying that that's negative 18% basically profit on turnover and goes at 8.8%. So you're dropping 4% for the wide barrier. Again, middle draws is okay. Fascinating. And I'll talk about getting flushed out the back of the surf a bit on our sort of previews and reviews. So horses, rails, and run, barriers 1 to 3 that settle on pace midfield or midfield, they get flushed out the back as the leaders might stop. And they get held up, they lose momentum. You lose momentum at the valley and you're dead. So that data sort of backs up that opinion. And it's basically off the strike rates, you can sort of see overall 11% strike rate settling in the first third, or like horses with the lead or on pace pattern. It drops away as you get to midfield, and it drops away even further as you get to back markers. So what this stuff is telling us is that we want to back horses or pull the trigger on horses we like that are going to settle forward to midfield. We want to have a really big edge on our prices and think that the price is really, really good to take the plunge and risk our money on horses that are going to settle worse than midfield. That's what it's saying. This is lane data. So lanes 1 and 2 are profitable and have the best strike rate. So when the rails in the true at the valley, lane 1 and 2, which makes sense, they rail like greyhounds there, and they're the best barriers, and it drops away the wider you get. The strike rate and the pot, it sort of aligns there. So I think that's pretty simple. Are there any questions on that, guys? No, good. The trainer and jockey data I find more relevant for the valley and the wider track. So the more unique the track, the more I sort of focus on jockeys and trainers. It's very simple. Always click this thing to open it, so you get the whole list of everyone who's got a runner there. You can adjust the strike rate, like to find the better ones, but this is only giving you the top 10. Same with jockeys. Like some jockeys will just ride different tracks better than others. Ma Eustace and the McAvoys, very, very profitable. Ballarat synthetic. I don't know why, but they are. So like when you're looking for like more of a reason to pull a trigger on a Thursday in the middle of winter, that's where I sort of use this stuff a little bit more. But yeah, that's a basic overview of a meeting preview page. There's a lot of data there. Don't get drowned in it. Just sort of just skim it and get an idea of how you think these races are going to be run. But bearing in mind, you should have already mapped these races. So now you can go back and sort of, oh yeah, that's going to suit this horse that I like. Now I'm going to talk about what should we do next? Why do we price the race? We'll price the Moya. There's a fundamental sort of basic way I price races, or I started pricing races. So I'm going to open up a workbook and I'll share that screen. Okay, now you should write this stuff down. So the rating here, this is how I use it. Right, this is my sort of formula for forming a price. So I have a point system for what I think the horse's chances are based off going through all the data, looking at that screen, done on my replays, done on my reviews, not suited, very good run, blah 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 blah. Can't win 1, unlikely to win 4, rough chance 8, chance 16. So we start doubling each time we go. Good chance 32, big chance 64, and very big chance 128. Now let's just roll through this. So I think the Inferno's, I'd say he's a good chance, and I'll work back in halves. So I'd say it's a good chance of 32, but I'm going to change that to a 24, which is halfway between 32 and 16, because I don't like his map. We've just articulated why we don't like his map. Palele, I think, say probably big chance. We'll start at 64. Yeah, we might make that a 96. So in between a big chance and a very big chance. Once we fill out the whole ratings thing here, we'll get a price. So ignore the word rating. This is just like a chance. I call it whatever you want to call it. Just it's a way to get your own prices, which is key to learning and being anything in this game. Rothfire, I'd say it's a good chance, 64. Zoo Style, I'd say is a chance. ESP double the price of Rothfire last start, was slow away, but his map here is awful. I think it's like half the chance of Rothfire. That aligns pretty well with his SP from last start as well. Malkovich, I think it's a good chance. Generation, I think is a good chance. Extremely lucky. I hate the map. Failed all the time. Valley, I think it's only a chance. Now, I know because I've looked a bit, that's going to be against the market. September run, never won 1,000 meters. Won once, I think, first up in her life. That was over 1,000, but I was a maiden. I think she's only a chance here. We want to find edges and have opinions, right? Bella Nipotina, I think she's a good chance, despite the awful map. Maybe we might say 48. So in between a chance and a good chance. Isotope, 24. Maliva, 24. Coolangatta, I think she's probably in there somewhere. So we've just framed our own market there to 100%, and prices that I'm really like. Those numbers that I've worked on, I haven't worked on for a long time, but it took me a while to figure them out. If you start from there, you can build a really nice set of prices, and you can start to adjust from this point. So I think like from this point now, you start to look for things that you like in the form. So I'm going to look on another computer while I'm working on this one. I'm just logging in. I'm going to start looking for things like jockey changes, good form races, SP profile. So you might say, off the top of my head, Cool and Gatta's got an SP profile that against a lot of these key rivals. So I might give her another sort of, I don't know, 8 points, make her a 56. And her price will go from 980 into 850 just for her SP profile. Whatever the factors are that you like, you can put in. Now, this sort of gets back to the Rothfire thing at the very start. Sometimes I would be wanting to say, the Inferno from the start. So I thought he was enormous, like absolutely enormous in the lead-up race. And he wasn't suited. But we've just done the map. We've just done the meeting data. He's probably not going to be suited again. So just because we thought he was a great run and wasn't suited, doesn't mean we're going to bet it again the next time. So if I get this race up, I'm just going to skim through this and spend 2 minutes looking for anything we can find. So might turn down Bella Nipotina slightly just for her map. Might make it like a 44. Maliva, I don't like the map. I'll make her a 20. The Inferno, John McNeil or Blake Shin. Probably, sorry, Blake, but so I'll just turn them down slightly. Now we're just tinkering. Obviously, you want to your fundamental stuff gets you to the starting point a little bit sharper than what I did tonight, but J-Max stays on Palele. It's had 2 nice trials. The last trial was good. Normally has 1 trial. It's 3 from 3 first up. It's won once over 1,000 meters. You could sort of give it a little bit there. Might go like 104. Yeah. Rothfire, career peak last start, but didn't fly to the 600. Got home pretty well. 2 questions. Okay. So the pencil icon on the race page is where you open up your worksheet. You do this when you're reviewing as the races are being run, when you review on a Sunday, when you're watching all the replays, and you do it when you're previewing. So I don't add any notes because it's all in my head and all in my other actual database. But I add notes to this post-race. And these worksheets are very ancient. The main point for them for you tonight is to form your own prices so you can measure yourself versus the market, because you're not always going to bet, but you're going to learn heaps if you were right or you were wrong here. So I'm going to be shorter than the market Makovic because I love its map. I'm going to get to it in a second. And I'll see if I was right. If it goes from 41s into 21s and loses, I'll still right. And I take like confidence from that. If it goes 41s to 100s, I was wrong. So why was I wrong? And I can go back and review my work that way. But these are ancient. So we're using them to price. We're using them to review and post-race map and pre-race map if we wanted to. And we're using them to add a race comment as the races unfold or we review them on a Sunday. So I am right now working with Punting Form at designing a new worksheet, which will be much sharper than this. And it'll also link to a bet recording thing where you can record your bets. You can record your actual bets. You'll be able to record hypothetical bets, everything you want. Because once you get into this sort of stuff, you're going to get lots of different ideas. And the most important thing is to record everything that you think. But the most important information is your betting information. And we're going to add that to Punting Form. I'm going to do it with them over the next little bit. I'm starting that tomorrow morning. So these will improve, but the function of them is perfect for what you want to do anyway. Back to previewing the race. Zoo style, Ollie sticks, SP $10. One thing which I will actually flip back to the other screen just for a second is this. So I'm going to share here. I'm going to share this screen again. One thing that's great, I've been talking about SPs a lot, right? So the Inferno comes out of that McEwen race, which is a key form reference. Form links this button down here. Just again, up the top hand right side. That pencil there, not drawing very well. That pencil here is how you open your worksheet. Now down, this is a great function. Form links, you click on this, open it up. That's the race. That's their starting prices. So Zoo Style started almost double the price, Rothfire. The Inferno, again, a bigger price. And Coolangatta's got that grouse SP. First time they met. The market might have been wrong. That's up to you. The market's often right. We're going to head back to the worksheet. So adjusting the price as we go. Miakovic, Rachel King Sticks. Last start started $14 versus Eduardo. So the Inferno started $14 versus Coolangatta, who's not an Eduardo. And this horse started $14 versus Eduardo. His second up has had 9 starts over 1,000 meters for 4 wins in 3 seconds. Second up's had 3 starts for 2 wins and a third. All this stuff you can see on your race page for the horse. It settles where you want to settle. It jumps from barrier 3. This ticks a lot of boxes for me, this horse. I really, really like its setup. So I'm going to change it. I'm going to give it like more. Keep skimming. There is a gear change. What's that gear change? Nothing. Generation comes from that Shooting for Gold race. Here's another little pearl. I'll flip back to the other screen. So Generation comes. So I'm going to do this slowly. So if you hover your mouse over the race that it's coming out of, so the McCafe Stakes, what a name, and right click. Well, you won't. I right click and open a new tab, but for the purpose of this, I'm just going to click on it. This is the form. This is the actual form out of that race. So people will say, "Oh, there's been 4 subsequent winners from that race." This is what they're talking about. So Shooting for Gold has come out of that race. It's regressed 7 lengths and run 7th to 14th. So it's run a 5.6 and run 7th to 14th. I think that was at Flemington. Curran came out and went really good at Caulfield. Red Ken Mann's done 2 decent figures about the same level. Fortunate Kiss, okay. Bless her, same. So you can see the strength of the form. It's like a really, really good feature. I use it all the time. So like Extremely Lucky comes from Adelaide. You might not know much about it. We saw it run around behind Bella Nipotina where it failed. But what about the start prior? It was a listed race. It started $4. So I'll open up that race and have a look. You know, well, I Am Benno's come out and improved and maintained it almost. Blah, 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 blah. You can, it's a great, this is a great feature. So you can flip it open. There's our meeting notes from before. So on pace suited all day, still there. Miakovic out of the Eduardo race, click on that. So Zapateo has come out and won really well at Caulfield last week. Eduardo is Eduardo. I wouldn't even worry about what it runs. We know it's Eduardo. So I'd give that another tick for form, which I sort of already did, I guess. But there's any questions on any of those features we just talked about? Shoot them in if you want, John, and I'll get to them. So we'll go back to now finish off pricing. Yeah, so I'll skip through Generation. I don't hate that form. I think he's a good horse. He was very well back to win the William Reid or something. I'll tell you. Yeah, the William Reid last year, that September run one. Proper rider, good gait. Extremely lucky we've gone through that in front of you. September run I've spoken about. So September runs had 4 starts at the trip for a second and a third only. I like to find 1,000-meter horses for 1,000-meter races all the time. It's a real specialty trip. Bella Nipotina, not a lot to see. And Isotope started $6 versus Chain of Lightning and started $9 versus Alligator Blood. Started $9 versus Marzu last prep. That is a positive for that horse. So we might be a bit off there. So we might sort of go, might say it's a good chance. So that's my set of prices. Back in the day, I'd make a lot of notes down here about what I thought and why I thought it. I think it's a really good tool depending on where you are in your sort of punting journey, just to like get everything that's in your head out before a race. But then you need to sort of either add to it or whatever so you can review the race. I think that's probably enough for previewing. But yeah, some of those factors we spoke about: map, form, SP profile, jockey switches, and was it suited, not suited last start, but will it be suited this start? Adjusting on the run, we've already touched on. That might do us, I reckon. That might do us. Now, if anyone has any questions, smack them in right now, and we'll get to them as quick as we can. But otherwise, we might wind her up, John. Systems. So systems is a function. I just sort of run out of time here. I couldn't believe how long I've talked shit for, to be honest. Systems. So we'll get rid of this. So you create a system. This is deep. In here, you can test any theory you've got and figure it out and prove it or not prove it. You can set it up so it notifies you when that system's going to hit, and you can run it. Like, I've been using this for a long time. It is a very, very good tool, but it just takes a very long time to explain. It's just another thing where instead of watching Netflix, play with this. If you want to be good at gambling and understand this game, you need to invest in yourself and put time into this stuff. Like, I remember like DK Weir, third up, blinkers on. It was profitable. It wasn't just a myth, I could prove it in here. Paddy Payne, Billy Egan in the bush, profitable. You could just blindly back him. Hobson at Swan Hill. You can test all this stuff out here and find systems. So you might have picked up something I said tonight. You can take that into here and test it. Was he talking shit or is that real? And you can prove me right or wrong. The systems function of Punting Form is outstanding and very, very valuable tool. Question on staking. So it's a glitch that we're fixing with the worksheets where those prices aren't exactly correct. I've got my actual prices for that race now. So I have the Inferno $22, Palele $4.90, Rothfire $4.50, Zoo Style $8, Malkovich $41, Generation 9, Extremely Lucky 21, September Run 33, Bella Nipotina 13, Isotope 57, Maliva 150, and Coolangatta 17. So to be honest, the only small edge I have there is Generation, the one that I like that I'd be interested in backing off these set of prices. I I could easily tinker to get Malkovich shorter than $41 and bet. But I'll go through. I'll explain staking in, say, we'll do race 2 here. So I got race 2, number 1, OJ 27s, Queen of the Ball 34s, Lady Laguna 10s, the market's 950, so I'm thereabouts. The other 2 I'm way over. Troach $12, it's 7s. Bound for Home 560, the market's 460. I'm Loving You 11s, the market's 9s. English Riviera 210, the market's 360, so that's a big edge for me. Prairie Flower millions, Gennady 12s, so it's above the market's 850, and millions the other thing. So I've marked English Riviera race 2, number 7, $2.10. So I have another sheet Excel thing that helps me with staking, and I bet to win 5 units based off my assessed price, but I take the market's price. So I'm going to have 2.4 units on that horse at 360 to collect 8.64 units. Does that make sense? So I'm betting to win a set amount off my rated price. So it's got a bet amount for every horse in that race based off my rated price, but I only pull the trigger on the ones where I have a good edge. And I know English Riviera, I did that race this afternoon. I think it's going to settle on the speed. I thought it was slaughtered last start. It's the biggest jockey change I've ever seen in Victoria. It's J-Mac on. So I've backed it, and I think it's a great bet. Will you bet if your market is equivalent to Betfair's, or will you only bet if you have overs? The only time I would chop, I'd call that chopping, and I'd only chop if I'd already bet. So if I backed English Riviera and it was a big bet, and probably if I'd beaten the market, so it was into $3, and I had a horse like Lady Laguna where I was right near the market and I liked its map, I might chop it, for example, but I wouldn't chop unless I'd already got a good position. Righto, that looks like us. I hope that yeah, you can use whatever you want. BSP, it doesn't really matter as long as you use the same thing all the time. It's just a measuring stick. It's like it's not neither of them's right or wrong. It's just a way to measure. So yeah, I can see the questions now. Yeah, staking's done. Righto. I hope that made sense. I hope you got something out of it. If you have any more questions, well, I might do one of these again sometime, but I don't know. Yeah, I hope you got something out of it. Good luck on the weekend. And if you want to buy a horse, contact Jono at the mailbag, jono@themailbag.com.au. Got Exeter running around in a couple of months, maybe less. I don't know, but it's a city horse. Anything else I can do for you? Quickly chuck it in the chat. Otherwise, I am off. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye for now.